picture me without you, but I can't. 'Cause we could be immortal, immortal, just not for long, for long. Live with me forever now, pull the black curtains down, just not for long, for long. We could be immortals,
One Disney logo is not enough. You must also endure the old-timey throwback Mickey logo bullshit as well.
Yeah, it's definitely needed to let people know that this isn't a Pixar movie, because Disney and Pixar are often mixed up with each other. And what's wrong with throwing back to Disney's very first animation, especially being the first piece of animation to have sound?
San Francisco? Wow. With the placement of the Asian-inspired Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island in the downtown area, this is clearly San Francisco, but with Tokyo on top of it. Which is cool. I'm down. I just want to know what happened to the Pacific Ocean is all. Or is this movie like The Watchmen, where we're living in a world where we lost World War II? Are San Franciscans so liberal that they said, you know what, we have a huge Japanese population. Only fair to rename the whole city for them.
According to art director Scott Watanabe, this movie takes place in an alternate history where Japanese immigrants moved to San Francisco. Then after an earthquake in 1906, the Japanese rebuilt the city better than ever before. And since the place is a combination of American and Japanese culture, they renamed it San Francisco. See, this is the problem with your videos. You ask questions that are unimportant to the story. We don't need to know what happened because it isn't relevant to the story. And since we have answers, your questions don't mean anything and the sin is invalid.
Disney tries to push another Real Steel on us like we aren't going to notice that shit.
Weren't the robots in Real Steel much bigger than this? Also, like I said in that video, Big Hero 6 debuted in Marvel Comics in 1998. So if anything, Real Steel ripped off those comics.
What's your name, little boy?
Hero? Hiro Hamada?
Literal protagonist name is literal.
Are you thinking of Hiro, H-E-R-O? Because that's not right. His name is Hiro, H-I-R-O, which is a real Japanese name. And since we've established there are Japanese immigrants in this city, it makes sense for Hiro to have this name.
Well, at least one animated film with a good cop, bad cop character got nominated for an Oscar.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Tadashi Ex Machina.
Not a Deus Ex Machina, my guy.
You graduated high school when you were 13, and this is what you're doing?
This is the perfect time for this kind of exposition. And how are they hearing each other?
Yeah, because otherwise you'd be all, how is Hiro so smart? How does he know how to create microbots when he's only 14?
Bot fighting is illegal!
So there was no audio that played during that sin, and since I didn't point this out in my Big Hero 6 video because JXC did, I got some feedback about that and people said that I should have pointed it out, which is why I'm pointing it out here.
That's fair. Glad you could rectify that.
You're going bot fighting, aren't you?
There's a fight across town.
With so many bot fights happening all over the city, it's amazing Tadashi found you at the one you were at.
How do you know he immediately went to that specific bot fight? Maybe he went to several and eventually found Hiro at the correct one. You don't have enough context to make this claim.
Also, Aunt Cass goes from caring about these kids' activities to not existing at all in order to facilitate their sneaking out a second time.
When did the movie establish Aunt Cass that way? All it did was show her pick them up from the police station, meaning she had no idea where they were until the police called her. Plus, the movie implies Hiro has been doing this a few times already, so this isn't only the second time.
Zero resistance, faster bike.
It'll allow the chick from Premium Rush to get her kid into the country 3 times faster than the last time.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Honey lemon? Go-go? Wasabi?
I spilled wasabi on my shirt one time, people! One time!
Okay, I'm going to do something really different and be extremely nitpicky here. I know these kids are nerds, but the guy spilled wasabi on his shirt, and this was deemed hilarious and embarrassing enough to base a whole nickname around it? Good thing these guys weren't around when I was younger, or I'd be called sour cream and onion dressing.
Jeremy seemingly doesn't know about immature teenagers / people in their 20s. Not to mention this name wasn't given by Fred, and given his characterization, I can totally believe this.
DPIX Comics.
Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
I'm actually allergic to that.
You are not allergic to bacitracin. You do have a mild allergy to peanuts.
You could tell that just by scanning him? Jesus, why hasn't Tadashi already become insanely rich and won the Nobel Prize with this thing yet?
Hey, Moon, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Because Tadashi made Baymax and probably already knew what Hero's allergic to.
2, knowing Tadashi probably he didn't care much about getting money or the Nobel Prize since he's that kind of guy wanting to help people and not getting recognition.
You have been a good boy. Have a lollipop.
Hilarious, but where did he get the lollipop?
Hammer space.
How does Baymax deflate like this with a carbon fiber skeleton inside it?
Comic book movie.
Wanna see how I put them together?
Hey, genius. He invented them.
You're Robert Callahan.
Kid who knows who this famous scientist is somehow doesn't know what the man looks like.
So, realism then?
Look, I've got no problem with these microbots since we're in a sci-fi comic book cartoon, except the part where he says these things are controlled with your mind. Like, even under the best of circumstances where you're concentrating at a perfect level, how does that communicate to all these little bots the exact specifications you want?
Okay, but why is that where you draw the line? You just said it. This is a sci-fi comic book cartoon, and this fits that style. Why does your suspension of disbelief stop so arbitrarily? If you can believe that microbots can do all these insane feats, then them being mind-controlled shouldn't be a stretch.
If you can think it, the microbots can do it.
So, this kid invented nanobots, only bigger, roughly tons of years after the invention of nanobots.
Like I said earlier, this is set in an alternate history that's been different since the early 20th century. Maybe nanobots don't exist in this world, and Hiro created them.
Robert, I know how you feel about me.
We find out later that Cray neglected safety when it came to a transportation portal, which Callahan's daughter test piloted and never came back. Because this needs to be a surprise for the audience, Cray talks to Callahan like they don't have a history together, and Callahan talks about Cray like he's simply some greedy businessman.
Alright, I'm gonna let Cheese take over for this one.
So once again, you've cut scenes to fit your narrative and watched ahead so you have the background info again. What's really going to fry your circuits is the fact that if you let the scene continue, you'd hear Callahan saying about Cray,
I wouldn't trust Craytech with your microbots, or anything else.
And finishes it off by staring daggers into him. This implies that they do have a history together. We just don't know what it is until the third act conflict.
Callahan's in there. Someone has to help.
Like, Aquaman? I can't believe this extremely smart guy thinks he can run into a burning building and expect anything but tragedy.
What does Aquaman have to do with this? Also, Tadashi only dies because of an explosion that happens right after this, and if that didn't happen, he theoretically could have saved Callahan, since he doesn't know that Callahan was the one that caused this fire. And isn't this exactly firefighters' job anyway?
Oh, all my microbots are in there. And my brother.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
A zero? I'm okay, really.
Does it hurt when I touch it?
Healthcare robot is programmed to continue medical exam even after patient rates pain a 0 on a scale of 1 to 10.
I would assume because 0 isn't on that scale, so it doesn't register to him.
You should expect an increase in body hair, especially on your face, chest, armpits, and...
Thank you!
Amazingly, the robot Baymax, thus far unfazed by any kind of protest, actually stops talking so this movie can keep its PG rating.
There have been many times when Baymax is interrupted from finishing a sentence, so this isn't that unique.
I'm satisfied, my...
Hiro is so unnecessarily beyond embarrassed about Baymax's discussion about puberty, he stupidly jumps on him to try and deflate him, which of course leads to a new discovery under the bed.
And now you're just describing what we can see on screen. If I wanted a plot synopsis, I can just watch the many plot summaries on YouTube.
We've seen these microbots do amazing things, but getting out of a jacket pocket is something that is above its pay grade.
It's literally one microbot. They can do amazing things when they're together, but one is useless. These bots are the definition of teamwork.
No one thinks it's curious that a white inflatable blob is walking around town.
I'm fairly certain they are. You don't think anyone looked at them weird? We just didn't see that because it's irrelevant.
Cat Wilhelm scream.
That is not the Wilhelm scream, you dolt!
You gave me a heart attack.
My hands are equipped with defibrillators.
You know what? That's funny, but...
I'm not gonna play the rest of this sin, because Jeremy is sinning something he likes. Cliche.
Did you file a report when your flying robots were stolen?
Cop seems skeptical about flying robots, despite the 2-minute display of Baymax's obvious weird robot abilities and awareness.
Aren't you the same person that couldn't believe those microbots were being mind-controlled?
Hey, Aunt Cass.
Aunt Cass apparently has never seen anyone act suspicious before.
No sin here, but is anyone else tired of seeing this Photoshop picture all over the internet? Some people still think this is actually from the movie, and it's annoying.
Hiro kills a 30-pound cat by throwing it up an entire flight of stairs.
So, something that didn't happen?
Did Baymax charge all the way back up in like a minute?
Yes.
Let's work on your moves.
Movie clearly and deliberately rips off The Matrix.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Luckily, this movie Hiro put in so that Baymax can learn karate is a side-scrolling one-take action shot that will motion capture all the moves.
So what?
A robot designed to help people with healthcare. And that's it. of course, has multiple ports where you can stick other programming chips.
What if there are more medical procedures that they could put in to give him more things to know? You never know what you might need more chip ports for.
Knife hand! Back kick! Gummy bears!
That is definitely amusing, and I hate to be a killjoy.
Okay, then skip!
This car notices them and stops to investigate. Amazing timing, considering who it turns out to be.
No, it's not. Baymax called them earlier when he found out about Tadashi's death, and so they were most likely driving to Cass's cafe to help Hiro's grief.
Don't push us away, Hiro. We're here for you. That's why Baymax contacted us.
And we waited for hours before actually driving out to see you so that we could get mixed up into the plot.
Maybe they were still at school and Baymax called them? And isn't this just double dipping?
Holy mother of Megazon!
I hear they just took a lot of TJ Miller's outtakes from Cloverfield and put it into this movie.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Super scary microbot villain is only fast enough to barely keep pace with the shitty sedan.
Aren't there a few moments when Callahan does catch up with them? Like here, and here, and here?
Villain throws a car instead of simply catching up to them, which should be possible with his amazing army of microbots.
And now you're doubling down on that lie?
Movie that pretends to care about science proceeds to make this possible.
Didn't you earlier say this movie was sci-fi? Do you know what that means? Science fiction. And the fiction part of that name is much more important here. You were able to buy microbots doing a bunch of insane feats, but this is unbelievable to you? It's way more believable than any of the Fast and Furious movies.
These tires should be freaking dead by now, skidding against the grain like that for the second time.
Sci-fi comic book cartoon. You said it yourself.
Movie thinks it can slip a Stan Lee cameo by us like we're just gonna let that shit slide. Nice try, assholes.
I'm just gonna go ahead and add 30 cents for sinning Stan Lee. We wouldn't have the greatest comic book movie ever without him.
Pizza time.
I hear a song, which means montage time.
Yep. And what's wrong with montages? As an aside, building off from my Cars 2 video, this song, Immortals, has nothing to do with what we're seeing on screen, but it was chosen because it sounded good. Just more evidence that songs don't have to match the scenes it's being played over.
Does Tony Stark know that some kid in futuristic San Francisco has a pirated version of his gadget creation software?
It's almost like they're both based on Marvel Comics or something.
And first Iron Man's hand gesture creation computer, Tron Girl, and now Mr. Incredible's I'm too fat to fit into my suit moment. This movie is ripping off all the Disney.
A few things here. Iron Man wasn't created by Disney, so that makes no sense. I have no idea why Go-Go's suit reminds you of Tron. You might want to rewatch those movies. I'm fairly certain Mr. Incredible wasn't the first one to have that specific joke. And finally, how would they be ripping off Disney if this is literally a Disney movie? Wasn't the very first sin in this video surrounding a Disney logo?
Actually, since Baymax is mostly air, he should pop when this happens, right? Shit, we saw him intentionally let out air earlier to squeeze through a window. Why is he not doing that now to help the suit fit?
That's the joke.
He gave everyone a weapon except the dark-haired chick who gets skates.
Didn't you compare Go-Go's suit to Tron earlier? Remember how those movies portrayed discs as weapons, which is exactly how Go-Go uses them? Like here, and here, and here?
I'd like to introduce Baymax 2.0.
Baymax is an awesome robot and an awesome character. But this armor once again illustrates the bizarre need for Marvel to make a mechanical robot badass in every one of their movies.
Even Spider-Man, and X-Men, and Fantastic Four, and Blade, and Captain America, and Daredevil, and Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel, and Go.
Also, that's the Iron Man suit. Awesome. Why you didn't create Cap's shield and Thor's hammer for other members of the team, I'll never know.
And Shang-Chi, and Thor, and... Oh, sorry, I got distracted for a second there. Anyway, you've already mentioned Iron Man twice, and you even said in the last scene that Baymax became a mechanical robot badass. Jeez, is everything like Iron Man to you? You know Blue Beetle technically came first, right? He was also a guy wearing armor that allowed him to fly. Heck, I'm probably wrong when I say first, and there's someone before that. Superheroes having this kind of thing is pretty common in comic books. You might as well criticize Wonder Woman for having super strength, as if that's not the power most superheroes have.
Baymax steals the odd job from Goldfinger.
Darn it, I thought we were done with these arbitrary movie references, but they just keep coming.
Movie can't resist its inner Harry Potter and has Baymax fly through San Francisco basically just to show off the IMAX 3D stuff you overpaid for.
Jeremy is mad at a movie with a flying character for showing that character flying around. Are you asking for a Superman movie to not have that now?
Now Baymax can scan an entire city from this range and figure out everyone's health statistics. This scanner is way more amazing than almost anything else in this movie, even the microbots, but it'll only be used for this one scene and never heard from again.
Well, that's just straight up wrong. This scanner has been used 5 more times by my count. Here's Baymax using it on Cray's Island. Here is him attempting to use it after Callahan escapes. And although we don't see it, I think it's safe to assume he used it to track Callahan down at Cray's laboratory. And here's Baymax using it to find Abigail inside that portal, and then using it to track her down when he and Hiro go to rescue her.
None of the new teen heroes kill each other in this seizure of itchy trigger finger reaction assault. Also, didn't even kill the thing that made the noise, somehow. But cute pigeon.
For a channel that's supposed to be funny, you sure don't understand when a movie is trying to be funny.
Oh, what the hell. Throw a little Stargate in there, too.
Enough with the arbitrary movie references, dude. Can you just criticize the actual movie instead of comparing it to other films?
And a dash of Spider-Man 2. Jesus. This movie is a f***ing casserole of other movies' ideas.
I do not want another single pop culture reference out of you for the rest of the trip, you understand?
Having failed earlier to kill them by throwing a car, villain spins the prize wheel of attacks and once again lands on the throwing heavy shit at people and hoping they die pie wedge.
I mean, to be fair, they were driving when he threw that car, so it was pretty likely that he'd miss them. While here, they're all standing still, giving him a much easier target.
The explosion. You died.
No. I had your microbots.
Which are explosion-proof.
Or he got out before the explosion.
Also, who started the fire? You can cue the Billy Joel music while we figure this out. I guess Callahan did? Because he knew the microbots would protect him as he birthed his revenge scheme?
So what even was the sin? You just answered your own question, and yet you're still sinning the movie for this?
Movie steals the robot temporarily turns bad scene from the Iron Giant.
Oh my gosh!
And because Hiro uncharacteristically suddenly decided to kill the professor, a convenient pandemonium ensued that allowed the bad guy to get the mask back. Voila! Screenwriting 101, people.
Hang on, you're suggesting that Hiro trying to kill Callahan was out of character for him? The whole reason this team is together is because he wanted to catch him for killing Tadashi, meaning he's been on a revenge quest this whole time. He's just now deciding to kill him because Callahan pissed him off when he said Tadashi trying to save him was his mistake. Add on top of that Hiro is an emotional teenager who is still grieving Tadashi's death. This is entirely in line with his character.
My enhanced scanner has been damaged.
Of course it has. It fulfilled its one use, and now it's worthless.
Not only does this disprove Jeremy's earlier point that this scanner is never used again, but he says it's now worthless even though Hiro literally fixes it in the next scene. If he'd stop making so many arbitrary movie references, he'd probably be able to pay attention to what he's watching.
Wait, you mean this robot can actually keep its access port closed?
Yes.
Hey, but maybe don't leave your team stranded on a spooky island next time.
Oh, man.
Nah, it's cool. Heathcliff picked us up in the family chopper.
Somehow we were able to get here in the 4 minutes you've been in this garage.
What about the amount of time it took for Hiro and Baymax to get to the garage? Remember, they had to fly from an island all the way here, which I'm sure took a little while.
Speaking of which, nearly all the characters that are not Baymax are nearly worthless in this movie. What distinguishes these characters that make you want to see more of them?
That sounds like a subjective value judgment to me.
You took everything from me when you sent Abigail into that machine. Now I'm taking everything from you.
This is the most elaborate eye for an eye revenge plan ever conceived. What was he going to do if Hiro never invented those microbots?
Something else. Next question.
How does Callahan have the ability to take on multiple people at once using the microbots? He's got to do this all with his head, splitting attention between all the different heroes coming at him from all different directions.
Again, you said it yourself. This is a sci-fi comic book cartoon movie. We're talking about a world that has a lot of unrealistic stuff happen. This isn't even that strange compared to a portal to another dimension.
My sensor is detecting signs of life.
Abigail has been subsisting on Balrog dreams and fairy dust whilst in another dimension.
Putting the reference aside, here's another instance of Baymax using the super powerful scanner that Jeremy said he never used after finding Callahan on that island, and he just moves past it like it doesn't contradict his argument. CinemaSins, ladies and gentlemen.
Wasn't this a matter transporter between two places? This part of the movie suggests the contraption first transports you to some weird spacey alternate dimension place, and then you have to find the second portal to get out. Which means Cray actually invented more than a teleportation device. He invented a f***ing wormhole, or an alternate universe.
No, Cray said,
teleportation, the transport of matter instantaneously through space.
We're just seeing that right here. I mean, where did you think Abigail went when she went through?
Hiro sacrifices himself to save the world. Well, he's saving 2 people, not the world. Still sacrificing himself for the greater good. And the Iron Giant did this shit too.
But the Iron Giant saved an entire town full of people, not just 2. So...
Whew! They did that just at the moment it exploded. If Hiro had whined about anything else for just 1 more second, they would have died.
Sure, that could have happened, but it didn't. So why are you sinning it?
Baymax?
I mean, you can't build another one. You assholes have built a million things in this movie just as impressive as Baymax, and you make it sound like you can't ever build him again.
Besides the fact that they do rebuild him later on, the reason they're sad here is because if they did, he wouldn't have all his memories, and he'd essentially be a different character entirely. That chip includes the memories, which is why when he does come back after Hiro discovers the chip inside Baymax's glove, he knows who Hiro is.
Who are we? Spider-Man? The Incredibles? The Avengers? The Fantastic Four? Oh, shit. Now there are 6 more you assholes I gotta keep track of.
Considering we never got a sequel to this, I think you're in the clear.
Even the end credits scene rips off Spider-Man 2.
Alright, I've had it with these references. Take another 10 cents and let's be done with this video.
Stan Lee isn't content to cameo in a painting.
Ah, dang nabbit!